When I think about precious natural resources, I tend to think about rare gems, pearls and shells, harvested and collected for their extrinsic value. I think about fuel, both crude oil and all types of coal, as well as minerals and metals extracted and sold as a high-value commodity once its intrinsic value is discovered. Usually, the gathering process is fairly straightforward. First, find the resource, that's the hard part, then extract the resource, arguably another hard part. In all cases, there are those who are responsible for the former and sometimes others for the latter. Occasionally, this is the same person, like prospectors at the time of the gold rush, but more often than not, especially in our more modern corporate society, there is some organization orchestrating groups of finders and extractors. I swear this is not going to be a financial history video. I am very much not qualified for this talk. I am just a skull, albeit undying and all-powerful. Hey everyone, I'm Necromuncher. Let's draw. This is another episode in the Glassburn Worldbuilding series, so if you're new to the Horde, you're more than welcome to watch the full playlist linked up in the card and down in the video description. As you are probably aware from the title of the video, the topic you voted on for this episode, after too many three-way ties, was exploring the Izlium Gatherers Guild and their pets. And yes, in case you were curious, I did in fact start working on the other two topics prematurely and it did come to bite me in the ass, but more on that later. Also, I'm just gonna put this ominous timer here, you'll see why. With all this out of the way, Izlium. A rare, though not incredibly rare, element that has some very unique qualities, mainly affecting the intensity of gravity around it when temperature shifts. This is the very core of Glassburn. Izlium provides the glass part of the name, while thermokinesis, which we will not explore today, provides the burn part. We don't have to get into the chemical properties that allow Izlium to be gathered the way it is. Just know for now that it's an invisible gas that hangs around on ground level in a somewhat stable structure, like a miniature frozen water spout or vortex. It's unnoticeable to human senses, not significantly thicker than air, invisible as I mentioned, scentless for us, and tastes like nothing in particular. But other animals use Izlium as part of their survival strategy, so they must be able to detect it somehow. You'll see me draw what seems to be a big lizard, and we'll get to it in a bit. The animal I was referring to earlier is the gonlin, a vicious predator of a grand scale, pun intended, that uses Izlium to glide through the air in relative silence considering its size, almost like a giant daytime owl. Its reflective scales allow it to blend with their environment better than it otherwise could have, and its powerful thermokinesis let it hunt very efficiently. But they had their own episode, sort of, and we'll have another one down the line. The only reason I mentioned the gonlins is because this pseudo-lizard is a sizable, protein-dense, only a little bit spiky snack for the massive silver mounds. As such, these animals, called danafki, literally meaning two-legged snake, have adapted a uniquely sensitive set of skills. Now that the timer is up, I just want to take a second to acknowledge the fact that I deleted my art after hours on hours of work because I didn't like it. It was visually boring. So I tried a new composition and started over. Same creature and character designs, but with more action and better framing. Don't be afraid to delete your art and start over. It's healthier than settling for something you don't like. Back to the lore. First, and most obvious, is a sense of smell, capable of picking up on among other things, the scent of Izlium. Much like regular, no-legged snakes and Komodo dragons, they taste the air with their iconic reptilian forked tongues, as well as breathing it in for a fuller picture. The second ability these guys and gals share with snakes is heat vision. Their eyes can pick up on infrared wavelength, and they can generally sense relatively minute changes in thermal energy around them. This development is somewhat common with species of animals that hadn't evolved thermokinesis, which is the case here as well. It's good for hunting, body temperature regulation, and keeping you from being snacked upon by something that does hunt using thermokinesis, i.e. dragons. The third, and maybe most unique sense this creature has, is gravitational field interference detection. You can probably see where this is going, but just to make things clear, Izlium, when solidified, affects gravity. Technically, it does that when being heated or cooled, but since the environment is usually not at the absolute zero, the effect happens naturally. Also naturally, all creatures that I know of that live on our planet can sense the forces applied to them. Most notably Earth's gravity applying acceleration 9.8 meters per second and atmospheric pressure. What makes the Danafki unique, other than not existing on Earth to begin with, is their ability to sense the gravitational forces and fluctuations applied in an area around them. This saves Danafki lives when a flying mountain uses a shit ton of Izlium to glide through the air. This also allows them to detect naturally occurring deposits of Izlium in the wild, something the Gatherers Guild appreciates dearly. So let's talk about them for a moment. Who are they? How did they come to be? What's up with the hat, mask, helmet thing? And why so blue? First thing first, the Izlium Gatherers Guild are very, very old. Relatively small organization, made up entirely of one family, or so the legend says. There are historical records of the gatherers from the times where herders became the first settlers, meaning there's records of them for almost as long as there are written records. In ancient art, what are assumed to be gatherers are shown to wear the same weird cowl and wield big, serrated sticks. No signs of the Danafki lizards though, they come later. Back in the day, the job was prophetic. None of the people knew the mechanical properties of Izlium, and the crystallization process was only so the prophet could read the flow of fate. That's where the name Izlium originally comes from, the ancient term Lazlar, meaning what is to be, or simply put, fate. After the reading was over, the crystals were shattered and collected in holy urns that were stored in the prophet's temple. Then came the fire. At some point in early history of this name-forgotten Izlium gathering society, there is evidence of things like grain and goods also being stored in the temple. We know this because of a poem describing what was lost and what was floating, weightless, through the air. Apparently, that fire was the result of arson as part of some war, but very little is written and therefore very little is known about it. Izlium properties of gravity manipulation would not be finely honed for quite some times, but that fire is assumed to be the discovery of graviturgy for humans. We all know animals gather and use Izlium themselves, like gonlins do, but for humans, this was new. Unfortunately, like most new things discovered during wars, this was used for war. But we're not going to talk about the warping war today. Fast forward 300 or 400 years, the Gatherers Guild is everywhere and in positions of power. In most places, Only they can collect the precious spirit glass, and those who are found trying are either incorporated into the guild via marriage or are dealt with. This is also the point in history where the Danafki start appearing, somewhere in the Tunboya Peninsula. We'll get to the geography of the world in a future episode if you vote for it. For now, just know this is a tropical peninsula with a relatively barren mountain range on the west, blocking land travel to the rest of the continent, and lush forests to the east, in a plain surrounded by water on all sides. Those mountains had gonlins in them, and the forested area had prey. Gonlins from that area are the only ones who don't mind entering forests and lush greenery, the way that all others of their kinds do. That's probably because of those large, meaty, calorie-heavy giant turtles, and of course the Danafki lizards. At some point in those few hundred years, the Gatherers Guild managed to realize the Danafki's ability to detect Izlium, and probably bring back some eggs for domestication. The eggs themselves are reptilian eggs, which means they are 1. Somewhat flexible rather than hard-shelled like bird eggs, and 2. Highly susceptible to temperature in various ways, including but not limited to determining the sex of the newborn. The former was a blessing for transportation purposes, while the latter was a sad discovery resulting in an all-male population which required further expeditions. So what's up with the hat? No one knows for sure, but the lead hypothesis suggests they are masks designed after hallucinogenic flowers used by the prophets and were also helpful in hiding their identity for personal protection. The flowers have some faint modern traces, with modern gatherer masks having dried scented flowers inside. That's mostly because the Danafki stink like all hells, but the flowers may have some connection to the prophetic period of the guild. To this day, Izlium gathering is handled almost only by the guild. They are one of the few truly global organizations in the world, and they are well aware of it. That's it for today. Appropriate for the core role Izlium plays in this world, we explored a lot of topics, across many time periods and stages in the development of civilization. I didn't expect to write and explore this much into the topic, and honestly, I had a blast writing this. I didn't expect to talk about the world's geography, or learn that animals detecting Izlium can't even use it, or have an emergent concept of prophetic history and hallucinogenic flowers, or the pearls that we didn't even talk about. This episode felt the most like exploration from all other episodes, except maybe the first one, aptly also discussing Izlium. I was, however, pressed for time. I was too eager after the night's episode to develop the next one. The topic poll wasn't even published, but I already had half the script ready for the Stillhill Platva future episode, so I started recording the voiceover. The topic poll, however, was turbulent. 3 times over the week we had a 3-way tie, and I ended up working to some degree on both other topics and got flustered when the final result demanded Izlium. With that in mind, 2 fruits and a seed. Fruit 1. I didn't like the perspective and composition, so I started over. No hard feelings. Fruit 2. I asked my community in Discord for ideas and feedback and incorporated those in. Seed. If I must choose just one, then I'd say better work management. I got way too distracted, eager, and burnt out because of this, to the detriment of the final product and my mental health. But I won't dwell on it, only act. Starting today, the topic poll will be released with the episode, and not 2 days after, so if you're watching this, the poll is out. Go, check it out, and make your voice count. Also, unrelated to Glassburn, 2026 is the year I start doing commissions, so you're welcome to hit me on socials, I may have a slot open. Also, The free-to-join Discord channel is slowly growing. I fixed the QR code, so I think it should work now. Link, as usual, is also in the video description. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to everyone who voted on this video's topic, and those who helped me with suggestions and ideas. If you want to support the channel so I can continue developing this world and have the opportunity to improve, you can like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends or foes. It's free and it would really help me out. There's also a bell. It makes the lizard salivate for some reason. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Tell me in the comments what you want to see next. And for now, bye!